hear about what is taking place in St. Vincent and the level of the cannabis industry in St. Vincent. So I'm really looking forward to the discussion. So I want to say good evening, Oli. I want to say good evening, Layamiga. I think it's a Nevis, the entire Eastern Caribbean, the folks, in Japan, China, America, Afghanistan, wherever you may be right now, locked into us. We do appreciate having you. Want to encourage folks to run on over to our YouTube platform and subscribe, like, and share. We're going to be doing a lot more from that platform. All of our Facebook listeners and Twitch followers as well. We will share the numbers for you to call in if you need to call in. And we want to also appreciate those who send their messages and texts via the chat. And we do actually pay attention to those, and we appreciate you and acknowledge your contribution to the program on a weekly basis. So, Bankie, it's wonderful. There's a lot that's going on here on St. Kitts and Nevis, a lot of different topics, but, this evening we want to zoom in on, the cannabis and the Cannabliss activity that is going to be taking place in St. Vincent and have some frank discussions and compare and contrast with what's going on there and what's going on here, and see how maybe what is being discussed from that level could help to stimulate and push forward a bit more, especially on Nevis end, the capacity and the ability for the industry and how it can really impact not just the officials and foreign investors, but also how it can be structured in a way that the locals can fully benefit from the industry. So I'm really looking forward to the discussion.
Right, wonderful, Yahsonn. So we're going to introduce our guest in a little bit. We'll have Mr. Mapp, and we'll have Candy Fraser along with Kevvian Black. These will be our guests from St. Vincent, and they're going to be representing the Cannabis Authority and the Cannabliss that will be coming up, and Miss Fraser, that they are the marketing person, which is going to be doing the PRO and stuff like that. So, and then at least get a history of cannabis within St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Yes, and I know we've been getting a lot of rain also, so I know you should be smiling. But today we get a lot of high humidity at the same time. So I know you're supposed to be doing plenty of planting right now in preparation.
Yeah, man, definitely. I was actually just weeding out some pineapples before I came over here to do this program, because at this point the soil is pretty soft. As you mentioned, the rain fell last night, and then we would have had a pretty humid day. So the top layer is kind of a little crusty, but still, it's very soft underneath, so they're easy to remove and all that. So I was really, taking a bit of that before I came on the program. So yeah, man, that's wonderful. We could do a couple more days like that, get the sunshine and then, get some more rain as well. After the rain, everything, you water with the regular pipe water or whatever it is, but when it comes to that rainfall, that push that it gives those plants, it's just tremendous. So yeah, we always give thanks for the blessings.
Okay, yes, and our guest going to be coming in. If you're just tuning in, our guest this evening, we're going to be strictly speaking about cannabis industry in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and also could make a little comparison here in St. Kitts and Nevis, what's going on. So definitely we have three guests. We have Terral Mapp, along with Candy Fraser and Kevvian Black. So these will be our guests tonight, and once they come in, we're going to introduce themselves and give us all synopsis, because they will be the best person to do that. All right, so Mr. Mapp, how are you doing, sir?
I'm good. I want to thank you, Bankie and Yahsonn and Garfield for inviting us, or your neighbors from St. Vincent the Grenadines, to your program to speak on this important topic. We really appreciate it, and I want to big up my friends in St. Kitts and Nevis. St. Kitts and Nevis is actually my fourth home. When I finished university in 2013, 2013, 2012, I spent 3 months there at the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank. So it
Okay,
holds a
nice,
special place in my heart. It is the place that I was grounded from a practical level in economics as an economist.
beautiful,
So I want to big up all my people in St. Kitts and Nevis and all my people throughout the Caribbean who are locked in and in St. Vincent who are locked in. And Terral Mapp, I am the Chief Operating Officer of the Medicinal Cannabis Authority, which was established in 2019, April 2019, to really oversee and regulate the establishment of a modern medicinal cannabis industry. So that's me from
beautiful.
a
And your colleague, you could start with Candy, and then over to
Hi,
Mr. Black.
good night, everyone. Hi, St. Kitts. I am dying to visit. I've been hearing wonderful things about St. Kitts and how beautiful it is. They say it's similar to St. Vincent, so I definitely have to take a trip. Well, my name is Candy Fraser. I am currently the marketing and PR over at the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Football Federation, which is the best. I'm just putting it out there, St. Kitts. um, but I got the opportunity to join the team, the Cannabliss team for 2025 in the capacity of marketing. And so far, it's been a whirlwind, but we are definitely enjoying every moment of it. And we have so much in store. And I'm happy that I'm here to, support my colleagues and just share what we're going to be offering and how St. Vincent is going to be putting on a show that the Caribbean will never forget.
Beautiful. Mr. Black. I think your mic is paused.
Yeah, your mic is on mute.
My bad. Good night. Greetings.
Yeah, man.
Well,
Yes.
Candy did a wonderful job starting the stage for Cannabliss SVG. So
Yes,
I
sir.
will allow her to continue, but my name is Kevvian Black and I'm from the Gem of the Antilles, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And I operate at the Medicinal Cannabis Authority as the Information Management Officer. And I am pleased to be
Okay.
here on this stage to share more insight as it relates to the medicinal cannabis industry in St. Vincent and the Grenadines and Cannabliss SVG 2025.
So, gentlemen, cannabis. I mean, I know cannabis is a taboo when it comes to the Caribbean and stuff like that. And now it seems to be like number one, and that stuff has been spoken of throughout the Caribbean, and know the Caribbean countries is moving towards it. Um, I myself, along with other people, have been harassed and locked up. And now we are the same people now, everybody coming for information. So it's like, we're going on here, you're missing a picture somewhere. So how have that have changed the community in St. Vincent, and how the general public have been receiving it? Because and leading up to the Cannabliss as almost as a music festival, because when I see the lined up last year, so this is almost bigger than our culture. It's like a whole set of activities. So how this community and how everything gets started, a little synopsis about that. Any one of you?
well, I will start with the industry, starting a medicinal cannabis industry. St. Vincent has had cannabis production for over 50 years, though illegal, and that has built within itself prosecution, stigma, hypocrisy, because those same persons who came with helicopters and shot down and burned down the hog, the holy hog, they
Yes.
too were in the advanced nations growing that same cannabis, coming down, taking our cultivars and resourcing, and now they too have full-fledged, not just medicinal industries, but what they call adult use industries. So, seeing that hypocrisy and based on the research, research and information, some anecdotal, showing that cannabis does have medicinal benefits. And what the Rastafari have been saying for decades, this thing is a medicinal plant. It has been, showing up more and more in the public sphere, and that helped to break down society. And science came on and saw what the Rastas were saying was right, and that helped to break it down even further. So when we started to build a cannabis industry in 2017, what the government did, right, knowing that each person's view, each stakeholder view, each group view is important, the government set about a committee, like a steering committee, and held consultations throughout the country with the Christian community, the police, the medical practitioners, the people in agriculture, the Rastafari movement, investors. Those consultations lasted from 2017 into late 2018. And then even into select committee when the medicinal cannabis industry bill was drafted, that went through an iterative process and was refined, and that gave birth to the Medicinal Cannabis Industry Act, which was passed December 11, 2018, which sought to really integrate all aspects of the industry, not just an industry that issues licenses to major investors, but it carved out a special space for those persons who were involved in illicit cannabis production. So in Simbinsu is probably one of the only countries in the Caribbean, one of the first countries in the Caribbean to issue a license to traditional cultivator. We have issued over 100 and something licenses to traditional cultivators. All they have to pay is $100 application fee, just a fee for the application once they have all the requisite documents. And what makes you eligible for a traditional cultivator license, either you had a previous conviction as evidenced by a police record that you were involved in cannabis, a justice of peace could validate that you were involved in cannabis. And that actually makes you eligible to have a traditional cultivator license. So once you have all the documentation and land in place, we will issue a traditional cultivator license. And once you have everything in place, our system is so advanced that that traditional cultivator can go to a bank, go to Bank of Vincent the Grenadines and establish a traditional cultivator license. And we have gone even further. We have cut up, subdivided over 100 acres of land in a place called Lasham Tapil, and have distributed lands to traditional cultivators. We are even going further, but I don't want to get the excitement too fast. I just want to start that way. But before I turn
Yeah,
it over to my
yes.
team, I really want to invite Bankie and Yahsonn. I want to invite you to Cannabis this year, and I want to see you at Cannabis this year before, because most of this talking tonight will be done by Candy and Kevvian. They are the real persons leading and driving this thing. I'm just
I got you.
the figurehead, so to speak.
Yes. And I appreciate the invitation also. But let me interject and ask you a question. You mentioned that you have issued license over 100, and is only $100. $100 for what's it is a particular size of land or anything? I mean, how that works?
5 acres, traditional cultivators pursuant to the law, which they agreed to, everyone agreed to in select committee,
Yes.
is allowed to plant up to 5 acres. But even though you have 5 acres, 5 acres of cannabis is a lot to manage.
Yes. Of
So
course.
you will
Of course.
find they have been focusing on quality, and most of them will have
Okay.
an acre, 2 acre. And even with cannabis, traditional cultivators are not just cannabis farmers, because you have to eat. They plant a lot of food, and we have a
Yes.
program. We have rolled out a robust program at the MC. I don't want to start. I believe you me. I
No
don't want to start. I want
start.
Candy and Kevvian to really lead.
All right.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Candy, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm wonderful. I support everything that Terrell just said. I actually
Yeah.
had the opportunity to work on a project, and we went up to the same area he's talking about. It's called Top Hill. It's not too far from the actual volcano. And
Okay.
I also was am a witness of many farmers, male and female, that have testified to the benefits of having these pieces of land to cultivate, you know, marijuana peacefully. Let's use the word peacefully because, as Terrell said, growing up as a kid, you see these huge helicopters coming, and we'll know why. And it's so, well, I would say it's the world has really turned because now they're using what we have to benefit, and it's painful. A lot of us, we know persons that have ended up in prison for many years. Some probably, would not have seen the light of day or may not, based on what prosecutions they have faced. And to see now that they're benefiting, they're literally making millions off of this. So I'm happy that places like St. Kitts, Dominica, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we're trying to get persons involved and aware of what is happening. So, yes, Terrell,
Beautiful.
I agree.
Okay. Kevvian, this guy can smile, see?
The mic is on mute, Kevvian. The mic is on mute.
Mike mute again, you know. I wonder if he got two phone in
Right.
somebody else and it's a busy. Smart guy, this, you know.
I would have said it was nervousness, but I'm not nervous. I'm excited. Now,
Great, great,
as it
great.
relates to the points which have been brought to the front line,
Yes.
we are here to really share the vision of the Medicinal Cannabis Authority of St. Vincent and the Grenadines as it relates to inclusion of the masses, as we aim to spread awareness of the medicinal cannabis industry mixed meshed with the experience of St. Vincent and the Grenadines at the Cannabis SVG Festival 2025. And I will reinforce Mr. Mapp's invite to the persons on the live to book as soon as of now, book that plane ticket for St. Vincent and the Grenadines October 2nd to the 5th. Quite naturally, you can stay for a few extra days and
Yes, sir.
experience St. Vincent even more. But for sure, we're looking to see you at Cannabis SVP 2025.
Beautiful. So Candy, how we lead from an industry into a festival, Cannabliss? How that idea came about, and how did you guys pull off the first one? How it was received, and how was the attendees and stuff like that?
So
Well, I would let.
I,
Okay, go.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I would be the able person to help Candy here, as she had earlier established that he recently joined our marketing team for this year's Cannabis 2025. Now, the first question you may have is, how did we come about with the name Cannabis? And the answer is quite simple. It started from being coined within the medicinal cannabis industry. We wanted to ensure that we incorporated quite naturally the medicinal cannabis in its name. That's why the canna is there. And then when we incorporated the bliss, the experience that comes from the festival which features multiple components, we came up with the name Cannabis SVG Festival. And Cannabis SVG Festival fuses multiple and diverse audiences into one area where persons can learn more about the medicinal cannabis industry, even more about agriculture. As we also, as I said earlier, we also have an inclusive approach where we seek to ensure our traditional cultivators also add to the food security of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And they have been doing so through various ventures, such as planting food, along with the cannabis for medicinal purposes, as well as we recently provided, along with the ministry, in collaboration with the Ministry of Agriculture here in St. Vincent, we provided them with some chicklets. We provided each family and such that we, as I said, we are able to ensure there is food security. Now, last year's event, Cannabis Festival 2024, it was nothing short of amazing, I would say. As with anything that is new, as we have learned in the medicinal cannabis industry space here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, starting something new is always difficult. But as with many things, the journey is what is worth it. So coming out of 2024, we have learned quite a lot. You know, persons have shared their views. A lot of persons have shared that they enjoyed the festivities, that they enjoyed the forums, the lectures that occurred, because we had conferences and panels, which would also be a part of this year. But I'll allow Candy to give a little bit more into that part. But we had those educational sessions, those panels where persons across the region and persons internationally were in the same room sharing ideas and perspectives on the very key topic of cannabis as a medicine. And let's not forget the Grand Reggae concert, which brought the vibes, as we would put it. And then we had the tours, which we visited the many medicinal cannabis farms and facilities across St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And as you mentioned earlier in your starting, Russ Bankie, the
Yes.
persons from St. Kitts, I met quite a few of the Rastafari from St. Kitts. At the
Nice.
moment don't remember his name, but I for sure remember his warmth. He was very warm in terms of his communication and passion for what we are doing as a whole.
Okay.
And he was very excited to be there at Cannabis, especially.
Beautiful. Candy?
So to
Yes,
pick up
you want to
from,
come in anyway?
yes,
Before
like as
Candy
usual.
pick up?
Yes, so yes, I recently joined the team, and of course, it is a pleasure to be a part of the marketing team. Um, it's about, I won't forget my teammates, it's about 10 of us, and
Yes.
there's persons from the tourism side as well that is pushing the initiative and making sure that marketing is done not only in the Caribbean, not only in St. Vincent, sorry, but throughout the Caribbean and the larger diaspora. So we are excited about what is about to take place in St. Vincent, and we we know that this year it's going to be bigger and better because we put a lot of emphasis on the things that we need to change. We've spoken to persons from last year and we've evaluated their experience, and we want to like change the tone as well. So we sat down as a group and we talked about cannabis. For me personally, I have not been a user. I do not judge people who use it because everybody has a particular reason, right? But I do
Yes.
use their products. I use their products for my skincare and so forth. So we put all of that on the table, and basically, we were saying, persons, the first thing when they hear cannabis is what, guys?
Smoking.
Weed, right? Smoking.
Yes. Yes, I.
They just start incorporating, what they term as negatives. So we want to soften. The word soften has been used so much around our marketing table, but we want to make sure that everyone is educated on each, use of this wonderful drug. I call it a drug in a soft way, though. We want to make sure that persons know that There are people who are employed, and and through this medicinal cannabis, they have farmlands where they take care of their families from the earnings, right? There's persons that, like the Rastafarians, we have to honor them as well. We cannot forget about them. So every step of the way, we incorporate them. And we, persons use it for medicine and, as I said, skincare and various things. So we wanted to soften the look, soften the feel. We wanted persons to know, hey, there are ways that we could use cannabis without thinking the first thing, smoking or. So yeah, we put together a wonderful program. I don't know if Kevvian want us to jumpstart to let you know like the start of everything, which begins on Monday.
Okay, not a problem, Candy. So on Monday, we will be having our media launch where we kickstart the Cannabis SVG Festival 2025. In just to draw note, tonight we will begin our rollout, our social media rollout, and I will take this time to encourage persons to follow our pages, our Instagram page, Cannabliss_SVG, our Facebook page, Cannabliss SVG, to see more as we roll out the various features of this year's cannabis. Now, following up on last year's cannabis, we have the following components. We have a medicinal cannabis facility and farm tour. We have our expo and traditional cultivators village. You see all right, our traditional cultivators village. Our traditional farmers are incorporated heavily into anything we do. So they would be there to showcase their rich culture of which we are now a part of, quite naturally as the Medicinal Cannabis Authority, as we advocate for the use of cannabis as a medicine. There would also be conferences and panels. These are aimed at providing persons the room, the space, the area to network and be a part of the insights and perspectives that surround the area of medicinal cannabis as it relates to the science, as it relates to the policies and things of that nature. There would also be the grand reggae concerts, and I put emphasis on them. That is one of the key components of the festival, where we will be having artists performing along with the display of the culture of St. Vincent and the Grenadines through cultural showcases. We would also and finally be having, which was recently added to this year's event, a catamaran cruise. Now, this champions on the cause of ensuring that persons, yes, they are coming to Cannabliss FG to experience the festival, and a part of the festival is experiencing St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So we plan to take persons on a catamaran cruise to one of our 32 Grenadine islands, ensuring that they get to take in the ambience, the beauty of St. Vincent and the Grenadines on the last day of cannabis. So that, in essence, are the various components of cannabis. And
Okay, so
just to
yeah, go ahead. Finish up. Go
just
ahead.
As it
Sorry.
relates to these events, we will be having our expos and traditional village as well as the conferences on both the 2nd and the 3rd of October. We will be having our tours and the Grand Reggae concert on the 4th of October, and we will also be having the Catamaran cruise on the final day, the 5th of October.
That's a
So
lot of
it's a
stuff.
I was
That's a
just
lot
gonna
of
say
stuff to
that
keep
it's
you busy. That's a
jam.
lot of stuff.
Because
I
it
mean,
keeps you engaged,
yes,
and
I
that's why we
mean,
bring the cultural
that's
aspect
a
of
lot.
it to ensure.
Yes. So which means you're having like fairs and different stuff showing different art and crafts, that kind of different activities around those same time. So I mean that you guys have put a lot of thought into it. I mean last year when the guys them came down there, Ras and Kofa, Irai, Marcus, Ras Ben, I mean to see the smile on the guys them face, and for such it was like they went on a vacation but at the same time having fun because they're looking forward to going back. I mean, they say, well, you miss out on something, so you definitely need to come down there. But they love the trip. They love St. Vincent. They was treated really nice, and it seemed like they had a really packed weekend. But when they went down there, and it seemed like some of them stayed an extra week. So it showed, I mean, within the tourism sector, it was something good for the economy. So how can you speak about that? How that impact the economy? Yes, man, there's a feedback somewhere. Is it raining somewhere? Yes, sir.
My mic is on fan, so I don't know technically that feedback.
Yeah,
I'm not used to
uh,
it. I'm on, so like everybody else. Okay.
okay, same on. Okay.
Stop.
It stopped. Okay, sorry about that interference. I'm not sure what was that, but Candy, you Kevvian can continue.
I
Yes.
will jump in since I'm the
Yeah.
economist by training here. I see
Okay.
Oren, my colleague, one of the persons who trained me at ECCB in 2013, has bigged me up. Hi Terral,
You're
been a
fine.
while. Good to see you. You too. Big you up. Big up the whole ECCB family, my family. Um,
Yes.
yes, cannabis has cannabis, the first edition, contributed significantly to the economy. Over 200 to 300 persons came in from the entire region. We had persons from every single Caribbean island, persons from North
Nice.
America, persons from Europe, and persons as far as Saudi Arabia came in for cannabis. We have
Mm.
estimated that cannabis contributed in 4 or 5 days over $2.something million to the economy. Practically all the hotels and the Airbnbs within there in a particular geographical area in the south of the country, they were filled.
Yes.
And that's one of the things myself as an economist. How do you, because from a government standpoint, this thing is going to cost a lot of money. It costs a lot of money. And in the first year, it's not going to make a profit. But the role of government is not to really profit maximize. The role of government is to do things that have benefits to the entire society. And in this case, we really wanted to one to continue to break the stigma around cannabis. While
Mm-hmm.
the cannabis movement has been pushing ahead, that stigma still exists, and we have to be real. And to break that stigma, you have to educate. That's why we have the conferences and panels. You have to showcase. That's why we have the expo and the traditional cultivators village and the tours. Because you have to showcase the products. You have to showcase not just cannabis products, but the way of the Rastafari movement, their life, their culture, the clothing, the shoes, the dance, the music, and the most importantly, the food. We Rastas have been telling us for years. This is the type of food that your body needs. Don't put
Yes.
unhealthy stuff in your body. For years, and we haven't been paying attention. So a big future in cannabis is the food, and we want to showcase the food. And then while you're doing all of that, I'll walk and no play, make Jack's a dull boy. Make Jack a dull boy.
True.
So you have to celebrate. And that's where we come
That's
in
right.
with the Grand Reggae Festival. And now we add more to the celebration with a catamaran cruise. So cannabis, while when you're presenting and you're presenting to your superior, but your superior will say, but this thing didn't make a profit. You have to present the case that, well, it didn't make a profit, and the role of government is not necessarily to make profit, which is direct profit to the respective government agency, but to do things that provides those spilloff benefits to the entire society. And as I said, the hotels made a lot of money, businesses made a lot of money, the expo, persons who were there showcasing, they had the opportunity to showcase their products to thousands of Vincentians became aware of those cannabis products. And in addition to that, to the 200 to 300 persons who visited, and that in of itself created export opportunities. If we take, for instance, one of the products that was on display, not just cannabis products on display, was the Vinci Fresh seasoning, our locally made seasoning. And every time I travel to original conference and cannabis, my colleagues in that country tell me, make sure you bring that seasoning for us. That's Vinci Fresh seasoning. So when you come to see me, sir, I want you, Bankie and Yahsonn, to try that seasoning. I'm sure you would be one of them telling me when I come to St. Kitts, I have to bring that. So it
Yes, I.
enabled
It
us to
sounds good. So I
showcase.
love it. Love
And
that.
from an awareness and exposure point of view, even locally, since cannabis happened and we track sales and so forth, after cannabis, sales in the medicinal industry just increased exponentially and have enabled those companies and the traditional cultivators, they have invested a lot and they haven't generated return. They haven't gotten the full return on the investment because it has been difficult. We haven't spoken about the difficult part yet, but building an industry is hard. Giving me gray hairs is the hardest thing I ever done in my entire life, but I don't regret it at all. Because when we started, we had COVID in
Beautiful.
2020. Then in 2021, we had volcanic eruptions for practically most of April. Then in July 2021, we had Hurricane Elsa. And then we start to recover. We have consumption launches throughout the country and in the Grenadines. But July the 1st last year, Hurricane Beryl came and decimated the entire Grenadine Islands. 97, 98% of homes and Union Island and Canavan destroyed, including the consumption lounges, and it really set us back significantly. Now we are on a path to recovering, but we were grateful for central government and the country for allowing us to still push ahead with the Cannabliss event, which is what's the first time we were having it. We were kind of worried that they would have said because of the disaster that it would be
Yes.
insensitive to go ahead, but the cabinet and the country supported us. Now you ask, how did we get from a medicinal cannabis industry to a festival? It is because
Yes.
we have been fortunate at the authority level to have the political will. The government, the cabinet is very much supportive of the medicinal cannabis industry. You can't have an industry without that political will. And we are so grateful. We are so grateful to Minister Caesar, Minister Sabota Caesar, the Prime Minister, Minister of Finance. Every single one of the ministers support us. We're very grateful for that. We are so grateful
Beautiful.
for all the departments of government, the CMO,
Yes.
the London Surveyor, every single the Commissioner of Police, every single one of them. We could just call their phone and we get that support. So we have existed in an enabling environment that allowed us to really, I mean, how can a medicinal cannabis authority, which is a regulatory body, have the authority and they go ahead to do a whole festival? That is just mind blowing, and we can't
Yes.
express how much we are appreciative to the government and the people of Sun Mills and the Grenadines for that confidence in us. When we took Cannabliss last year, many persons were worried that there would be some sort of blowback. There was absolutely no blowback. The entire country supported us. Our ads run on radio. The radio station gave us significant discounts, and we're just very grateful for that. So, how we have reached this stage just far, we're not attributing that to MCA. MC has managed things properly, and we have shown leadership. We have shown that we could bring this thing together without, too much of excessive costs, and that the bills are paid after the event. But
Beautiful.
we really want to give thanks here to the people in Vincent.
You're breaking up there. You've been breaking up a little bit there. You want to go over what you just said there?
He's there.
It seems like Yahsonn, he frozen, Yahsonn. Okay, yeah. Terral, you were frozen for a little bit there. Yeah, you were frozen a little bit.
You hear
for
me
the
now?
last.
Yes, we hear you.
Yes, loud and clear.
Yes, I was saying that we are grateful to the country and the government and all those in last year, and we want you to come again this year, and we want you to bring bigger delegations, because I promise you this: if you think last year Cannabliss event was exciting and fun, we at the MCA has established a bigger team, a robust team. I mean, that team is impressive to say the least. They sit in meetings. We just have them sit in meetings every day, and they can't leave. We bring food for them. They cannot leave, and they just have to figure things out and get this thing going.
That's serious.
It has shouting from the Medicinal Cannabis Authority. I want to big them up. The entire staff, and I've been pushing them a lot, and some of them sometimes they say I push too hard, but that is my job. I'm being paid to push, and I want to big up Tourism Authority, big up Project Food, big up everybody on the marketing candy, big up. I have to big up Peter Edwards at Love You. When everybody looked down on us last year, because the stigma still exists. Peter Edwards
Of course.
at Love You, who is the manager of Love You Hotel. Hotel is good. He gave us full support. He allowed us to have events there. Have the media lunch and a cocktail day for free. And he sponsored us. And I can't express how grateful I am to persons like that for the support, and Minister Caesar and the cabinet. I am getting a bit emotional now, so I don't want to speak for too long.
Well, I can see the passion. Yes. Go ahead, Candy.
We're completely grateful, and Peter Edwards has really, especially to the marketing team, he has allowed us to sit for hours. Terral is not joking when he says hours. Sometimes I would leave and return, and they're still there, campaigning and trying to figure out the way. And Peter is just very, very supportive. So we have to say thank you to Loveview Hotel. It's one of the most beautiful hotels in St. Vincent. So when you visit, make sure you book there. But with marketing, we've been planning strategically, and we're ready. From Monday, a matter of fact, from this weekend, we're gonna be, as said, we're gonna be shooting out all our promotion and getting it out there. We want everyone to be educated on this. We want persons to know it is not just, weed. There's education behind it, as Terral said. There's a culture behind it that we have to preserve. We don't want to lose. We don't want to go too soft and lose the actual culture of where this came from and the heritage. We want to preserve all local traditions, right? It's a lifestyle for some. It's an experience. So we want to make sure that everyone who comes in contact with this, with Cannabliss 2025, will walk away and always remember what took place. And for next year, I want to see who could top this, because what we are going to be producing is something out of this world. We have a great support team, and we're just ready to launch and get it running, hitting the ground running.
But Yahsonn, to me, this seems like it's almost like it's a music festival or their carnival, how they're promoting it. It's like it's all out. No space, left unturned. And I love in this, because it's the opposite is what's going on here. And to see it's all hands on deck and the community supporting this thing, the commissioner of police and the tourism department and all these things is like, I mean, really, I mean, this is like, I'm loving it. So definitely, I mean, it's very encouraging to come to in October to St. Vincent for this event, because it's not just like you just come in to see a few displays, but you have tours. And the question is the kind of the you say you're gonna take a tour, you're gonna visit the cannabis, what's the
So
right name of it?
facilities.
The facility. So that is owned by who? It's a government facility. It's privatized. How is that? How that works?
You're muted. You're muted,
Mike,
Kevvian.
you Mike. Yes.
Yes, so that facility I spoke of is one that belongs to one of our companies here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines,
Okay.
Medicinal. And just to say that this is the facility where they process
Mm-hmm.
cannabis, medicinal cannabis, into different forms. Now, as we know, we
Okay.
mostly know of the smoking of cannabis, but here they process the cannabis into tinctures, into lotions, into various forms that are easily
I got you.
admissible and
Yes.
that would, in essence, take away from the stigma that persons are afraid of in terms of being labeled a smoker. But having this facility and having those funds allows persons to utilize medicinal cannabis for various qualifying illnesses. And just to add a point, I know we're talking about cannabis, but it's also
Yes.
inclusive of the education behind medicinal cannabis. Now, in St. Vincent, in our legislation, we have listed 20 qualifying illnesses for which persons can utilize medicinal cannabis. And just to provide an example, you can use lotions, the cannabis lotions for chronic pain. Let's say you have severe muscle pain. It is proven
Yes.
that the lotions help to alleviate these symptoms. So having this particular company along with our other companies and traditional cultivators as a part of our tours is exciting not only for us but for those that visit. So yes, definitely you should be in St. Vincent October 2nd to the 5th.
Loving it. Yahsonn, you want to come in? I mean, you've been very quiet and listening and smiling. So I mean, I'd like to hear what you have to say. I
He
mean, we're
has.
listen, taking in all this.
Well, like you, Bankie, I have just been very much taken aback when I'm hearing the excitement in especially Terrell's voice when he's talking about
Yes.
giving a lot of respect to the ministers and the cabinet and all these people who
Mm-hmm.
are giving the support. And I'm saying,
Yes.
man, I wish this was happening here at St. Peter Davis, you know. So, but and I'm loving also the fact that they have done so much work in terms of looking out for what is considered the traditional growers. They have gone to the point where now they have the facilities for the value added products, which really plays a very critical role in terms of being able to assist those traditional growers. Might not necessarily be all that in terms of um, going, sorry, the scientific aspects of it in terms of, you know, choosing those that have degrees versus those that have PhD and be able to get all of the different um, exact quantities and all that. But at least you'll be able to provide a market where whatever they bring in, so to speak, you will be able to help take it from them and be able to add value to it, and they at least get whether it's a standard weight or whatever it is for the produce that they grow. So I am loving the sort of developments that's taking place, and I'm really looking forward to booking that and really being there for real. Um, in terms of, I wanted to ask a question a bit earlier on in the introduction. Terral, when you spoke about just $300 for the application fee for the traditional growers. Are the other any other restrictions for them in terms of like if they would need license for distribution, transportation, if they don't process it into something else? How does that work for the traditional grower?
The traditional cultivators at the, as I said, you have to start at the political will. At the political level, the traditional cultivators are very dear to the cabinet and the government of St. Vincent. So from the get-go, that special carve-out was made, $100 application fee for traditional cultivators. And they could transport, they could come for license to manufacture, they could do research. If traditional cultivators have a buyer overseas and everything is in place, we have the export import license, there's no restriction on traditional cultivators. But we have gone further with respect to how we really, because we are intent and determined to ensure that traditional cultivators are included in the medicinal cannabis industry and are really included into sustainable alternative livelihood. We want the guys to earn sustainable. And so we went further. We at the MCA hired what we call traditional cultivators, liaisons. And we have liaisons on each side of the country. And they are in of themselves traditional cultivators too, who visit the traditional cultivators farm, take information to them and bring them back to the MCA so that we can move quickly in providing support to traditional cultivators. We have, and we have had to, speaking the truth and be frank, we have had to kick down the doors. Some government is must still, and had the stigma to make sure that when government departments are providing resources to the broader farming and broader agricultures, a carve-out is made for traditional cultivators. We have done that. We are very intent and very serious and very robust in our language when it comes to traditional cultivators. Because within me and my CEO, Dr. Tamsu, we grew up around traditional cultivators. We saw when banana died in 1994 how much cannabis really helped to keep the economy afloat and how hard the traditional cultivators work, though illegal, to keep, and how much cannabis really contributed to our economy, though informal, and people sometimes demonize the guys and you know look down upon them. We are very much different at the MC. A traditional cultivator comes to the MC to make an application, an investor comes, the same level of treatment is given to that traditional cultivator. So I said we are intent, we have traditional cultivators liaison, but we go further. We go to those villages that have, you know, a significant amount of traditional cultivators like Mapp, and we have consultations with traditional cultivators. We listen to their feedback. One of their feedback was, we need support with seedlings, we need support with seeds, we need chickens, we need the birds, and Kevvian spoke about that. And we ring fence to the Ministry of Agriculture that support, and that we specialize in that seedlings, and we take the seedlings to the traditional cultivators and we give them. They have produced impressive crop, so impressive that the Minister of Agriculture, when he saw that, I was advised that he had a press briefing the next day to showcase what our traditional cultivators are producing and our traditional cultivators are impressing us. So we hold consultants in the areas where we have a significant population of traditional cultivators. We go there, we don't have them come to MCA for a meeting. We go there, we sit down and we have consultations with them and we ring fence, as I say, support from the government agencies and we distribute that support to them. We are looking to buy a tractor, a plower, to plow the lands with traditional cultivators. So that's our next big goal. So we are going to buy a tractor and we are going to go to those areas where the population of traditional cultivators is significant, and we are going to plow those lands with traditional cultivators, and we are going to give them the full support. So I said all of that. I made some a bit long-winded just to show the kind of support and love. It's love, it's not just
Yes.
a job. Myself as chief operating officer and the inspectors and license officers is not and the entire team is not a job for us, it's a love. We love our traditional cultivators and we are pushing ahead with a robust package for traditional.
Well, Terral, I must say, right, that I am not disappointed. Sorry, I'm not sorry about you being long-winded as you mentioned, because I think the information that you shared is very valuable, and it really highlights the extra miles that you guys are going through to make sure that the traditional farmers and growers are really given an opportunity. And I think this really needs to be cemented also for the other countries who are going through this process as well, because apart from St. Kitts and Nevis, there's Antigua and Barbuda, there's Dominica, and the other Caribbean countries who are actually still moving ahead with this industry, and some of the things that you're doing and have carved out and so on. I'm sure they will be looking to model, or should be looking to model some of these things. One of the things that I also wanted to point out that you mentioned earlier on was the fact that one of the qualifiers. So imagine what was once deemed as something that would make you feel bad or terrible is something now that qualifies you to get into an industry. Because you're saying one of the qualifiers is that you have to be convicted as a cannabis farmer. And being convicted, being able to prove that you were once convicted, give you the opportunity now to be able to be a part of that industry in St. Vincent. So that in itself is quite impressive, and it also goes along with to show how much you guys are going the extra mile to ensure that the traditional farmers and also those who would have been um, damaged and destroyed, and the characters, and maybe had to spend years in prison, or that the stigma still attached, because we know back then you would have been considered a jailbird, so to speak, and your children going to school, and everybody, oh, your father dead, your father, what I mean, and things like that. So to see now that after cannabis is criminalized in St. Vincent, that you're making these kind of steps. So you're saying if you were convicted for it, now you can be definitely qualified. And if you have people in the community, you said, I don't remember the person who said that would qualify you if they can testify that you are a grower and you are a part of the industry, you then can qualify. This is quite impressive. Another thing, I think it was Kevvian who spoke to 100 acres that was set aside for the those growers as well, and to create a village. I think it's a cannabis village or something to that effect. Um, that is also impressive. Where that set of land is set aside and it's going to be chopped up in sections and so on, and people can be. That also is very very impressive. And to know that you can get 5 acres, that is the actual, the basic amount that you get as a traditional farmer as well. That also is very impressive. And so the things that I'm hearing, I am very much impressed with, and it is really demonstrating that you guys are really serious about not allowing so much. So even though you're giving them the opportunity, foreign investors and so on, to come in, you're making sure, going that extra mile to ensure that the local growers, those who got locked up, those who were harassed, And as you spoke about when banana industry went down and how, even though cannabis was illegal, it was known still that it was one of the industries that kept the country afloat. So now it is legal. Those people who went through that kind of harassment and so on should really be given, that opportunity. And Terral spoke to also in his final piece here, the fact that apart from giving the traditional growers an opportunity to grow for the industry, they're also attaching persons who can also train them and give them feedback and then take information and bring it back to the ministry and so you all could address whatever issues and so on. And now you're getting a tractor and so on to help with the plowing. I mean, like, this is, amazing. It's wonderful. So I know mainly it is about the Cannabliss activity that you guys are promoting this evening and so on. But it's good to learn about what's going on with your industry out there as well. We had a Cannabliss activity, I think, thank you, 2023, but we have not had any since then. I really don't know what's going on with that. But I'm hoping that listening to the amount of energy you guys are putting into it, and the fact that you guys are mentioning that even if it's not a profitable venture, and the government supports it as something that is necessary, in a way, maybe a repatriatory justice kind of way too as well, to make sure that still they will invest in it and they will support it and make sure that it do what it's supposed to do in terms of bringing the energy and taking away the stigma and all the hypocrisy. Oh, another point that I was impressed about on the financial side was the fact that the banks are involved in terms of ensuring that, this is one of the major concerns for many countries, that because it is still illegal, so to speak, in America and some of those other international countries, it's still deemed a Schedule 1 drug. When we talk about hypocrisy, this is one of the major hypocrisy for me in terms of the fact that cannabis was criminalized on the basis that it had and has no accepted medicinal use or purpose. And now they're using the fact that it has medicinal use and purpose to decriminalize it. So that is the first hypocrisy in for me. But the fact that that's one of the reasons, the fact that it's still on the books as a Schedule 1 drug is one of the reasons why the banking industry internationally have so much issues in terms of, even though it is decriminalized, allowing funds to flow through their system. So it is quite instructive to note that the banks in St. Vincent is really seeking to work along with the industry. So I'm hoping, Terral, especially seeing that you would have had the ECCB experience, that you might be able to help in terms of the ECCB recognizing it in all of the other Caribbean territories that might be pushing the industry, not just St. Vincent. So that fear and that stigma in terms of being able to utilize the funds that are created from the industry is taken away and demystified, and so that people can feel more freely invested in the industry.
Right.
Bankie,
I just want to add to those who are listening and the viewing audience, if we're part of the show, any question, they can want to make a phone call. The telephone number is 1-869-662-7196. And also, if you want to, Yahsonn, do you have any message on Facebook? If you want to send a message to Facebook or even on YouTube, I mean, yes, they will be read. Terral, what I wanted to ask, I know you mentioned is $100 for drugs. The application, but that is just the application. But what about for the license? Is there a different fee for the license?
The license for traditional cultivator is $0.
Yahsonn, when you want to hear that, you hear that too.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying here? You see what I'm saying here? I mean,
you need to move.
Huh?
Your son is
so you tell the traditional growers pay $100 application fee, and that they don't pay no money for the license, and they can go up to 5 acres of cannabis, not
Yes.
a acre, a half acre, not an acre, not 2 acres, not 3 acres, in different stages where they pay
Up to
different
5.
licensing fee. Okay,
No.
just
No.
right.
Up to
Okay,
5.
And they
that's what
can
I think I have to move.
Up
You
to
know, I think
5,
I
they
have
could
to
plant
move. I
1
think I have
acre,
to
and the
move.
5, they could plant 2, they could be half, plant half, but they
Yeah.
allowed up to 5 acres. And
and
we
if
Well,
have what we
automatic
call
yes.
transportation,
traditional
what about in terms
cultivator
of
groups.
transportation? What about in terms of
We
transportation,
have
getting it
groups
from the
too.
field?
You,
Do they have to pay a
Sorry?
license for transportation? Do they have to pay a specific
No,
license for transportation? And if they're going to process it, what if they want to have a lounge or something there? Would they have to pay a
no
specific fee to have
license.
like no
Uh,
license?
No,
I see.
no
Can they
license.
seem like a
You will get a license. We'll give you a license, but the cost is
you don't have to
$0.
pay? You don't have to pay. But the traditional
oh
person
wow,
wouldn't have to pay.
that is amazing. That, I mean, that is amazing.
No.
We seem to have a feedback. I mean, everyone check their phone, but
You
there
have
seems to be a feedback.
Just to add,
Candy,
Good.
you have the 5
Yes,
acres ready for me?
Go ahead.
yes, that is why we're here tonight, to make sure you have the dates, the time, and you're booking at Loveview, and you have a couple of days you can spend extra with us. So you can get some land, like Terral will
But
hook
this
you
model
up.
is a beautiful model.
Thank
Yes,
you.
and I love this model here. This model is a beautiful model which
I'm
can be
telling
copied and
you.
used.
I'm telling you.
I mean, throughout the
I'm telling
Caribbean,
you.
and this is the type of model that should be put in place. So I gotta tip my hat off to the authority and the government for, I mean, facilitating you guys and what you all been doing. So it's amazing. I mean, I'm lost for words. So my thing is, I just want to listen to you guys speak, and I do listening. We're speaking, so I enjoy listening. So Candy, the mic is over to you. I mean, whatever you want to add, Charles. I mean, I'm
So,
just enjoying listening to you guys. I'm lost for words.
so
so,
I,
so,
I
go ahead, go ahead.
just to add a quick point to what Mr. Mapp has been saying. Yes, the license fee is $0, and these persons, although they have this liberty, we still ensure that they are monitored quite
Yes,
naturally. We still ensure that they follow procedures. That's just the point I wanted to. But
beautiful,
so far,
beautiful. Yes, Candy.
Yes, so just to remind you of the event schedule, let's go back to Cannabis. I know you guys are excited about the 5 acres and everything, but we want to see you here first. So remember we're having the media launch on the 25th, which is Monday, and it would be at LaView from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. The opening ceremony, that would be on the 2nd and 3rd. The opening ceremony is at the Victoria Park, correct? Terrell, chime in
yes,
from 9 a.m.
yes.
Right? And if you don't want to be a part of anything really with these tours and so on, you could either join us for the catamaran cruise. That would be a beautiful cruise down the islands. You know, you get to see the gems that, as you know, St. Vincent is the gem of the Antilles, but you get to enjoy more of it. If you just want to go
And
to the Tenerife,
what the cost of these cruise, and is there a cost for the tours and the cruise and the catamaran? What are the costs for those who are listening? And so at least they can budget and everything so on the wish day at least everything is in place. So is there a cost to these things?
there
Yes,
is.
there are costs associated.
Go ahead.
No continue.
Girl.
That's just
You'll direct me. Early bird tickets are 60. So you can get your early bird tickets. Regular tickets are $80. Um, Advance is between 100, well, 100 and 120. Now, if you want to go VIP, where you get food inclusive and so forth, it's 250. Am I on the ball?
Okay. And this is for
yes.
which
Yeah, you're
event?
talking about
Which
the
event is
reggae
this?
concert.
Yes.
She's
Oh, the
talking
reggae
about the
That's
concert.
reggae
Okay.
concert on the 4th.
Okay.
so as it
$60
relates
you
to
said?
the
$60 for regular tickets?
Just to review again, so it's early bird is $60.
Yeah.
Then the regular price, if
Okay.
you miss the early bird, it's 80. Then advance 100 to 120, and VIP of course is 250. But you know you're getting food and so forth. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
the cruise, Terral, could you jump in there? Don't want to give the wrong pricing.
So if we,
Okay.
Kevvian, you want to give the pricing?
Yes, I can give the pricing across the board. So for the conferences and panels, the cost in Eastern Caribbean dollars would be $55 for the 2 days. The tours
Yes.
would be 40 US, which is around 110 EC dollars.
Yes.
The catamaran cruise, which would be an all-inclusive, would be 270 Eastern Caribbean dollars. But just know that you will get value for your
For
money.
every,
Yes.
The
yeah.
experience of Cannabliss, the energy is quite remarkable. As we, even before, just shortly after the last cannabis, persons already were reaching out to know when is the next cannabis, how can they get the tickets, how can they get to St. Vincent? They are eager to get back to St. Vincent. So they are also
Beautiful.
eager to provide that product which persons are looking out.
Yes, we are extending an invitation throughout the Caribbean, throughout the world. As Tara was saying, Saudi Arabia was here last year. So that is huge.
Yes.
And we want persons to come here
Yes.
and experience what we're saying is all facts. You get to go on these cruises, you get to see these facilities, you get to enjoy a beautiful, well packaged concert, reggae concert. We're not losing the essence, and we're introducing, you know, performances that are of high quality. So you're not going to be spending your money in vain, as they say, right? You're going to be able to enjoy. We're talking about food and different cultures you'll enjoy on that day, right? And different aspects of our culture. And we want everyone to come out and support. I know there's such a stigma around this, and we want to break this stigma. We want to show that, okay, um, we've all grown up knowing about cannabis. Let's be real. And it's not going anywhere clearly, right? And we're making a statement, and we want persons to be a part of the movement, really.
You
Please,
see, one of the
before
things that I wanted to add is that I have some friends who was in the police force in the early 90s when I was in school and so forth. And then those are the time when you used to have a lot of police from here going to St. Vincent to help in the have the strain of the marijuana plants and stuff like that. And one of them told me, I remember when he came out the force, because when he head to St. Vincent and he go into the field and he realized his family, mom, grandma, children growing cannabis. He said he couldn't do that. You see what I mean? So by what you all saying and then how you all have the framework work out for the traditional growers, it shows that it's a collective effort to give back to the community for those who hold on the fort when the banana industry went down, even though it was illegal. This community didn't fight it in a sense because it helped family and educate, send children to school and family to eat and stuff like that. So I must commend you guys and the government and the authority. If you want to check your phone or someone's phone, have a lot of speed. Yeah, much better. So I gotta give commendation to you guys, the Medical Cannabis Authority and the government for putting these legislation and stuff in place, because it's amazing to see. I mean, a traditional growers can just spend $100 and that's it. There's no other charges, no breaking down of a quarter acre or half acre or 3/4 acre. So kudos. I hope this can be used as I'm going forward throughout the Caribbean and wherever else have the passion when it comes to putting cannabis industry first and putting the right information out there and stuff like that. So enough accolades cannot give to you guys for what you all are doing, because I love this model, and I'm going to be speaking about this model all the time. So and that's the way forward. Candy, you can continue. I just wanted to put that in place for any one of you.
Okay, before Candy jump in, right? I just
Yes.
wanted to ask. I just wanted to ask. I know that this team represents the medical cannabis authority, St. Vincent, Grenadines. Like on St. Kitts and Nevis, the industry, when it was decriminalized, it was broken down into three specific different categories. So you have the medicinal side, on St. Kitts and Nevis, you have the recreational um, or personal use side, and then you have the spiritual or religious side of it. Is it similar in St. Vincent, or is it just the medical cannabis authority that you guys have and that governs and deals with all of these different aspects? Yeah, maybe through the traditional growers aspect, all of these different things are factored into it, or they are separate as I am pointing it out.
I think we view when we do that as spiritual, medicinal, recreational, we are really dividing up the same plant. And we have taken the philosophical approach that cannabis is one plant that has medicinal benefit. So we have noted that even persons before the industry who go to their jobs, construction job, whatever job, and they smoke their cannabis before they start their job on their lunch break. That isn't recreational. That actually is medicinal. It's there. Who am I? Who am I to say that that person is not getting some sort of therapeutic relief from from cannabis product? Because every single cannabis product does have medicinal benefits. So we haven't taken that approach. We have taken the approach where the Rastafari movement, you don't really need a law to tell a Rastafari that his cannabis is sacramental. We haven't taken that approach. We respect the Rastafari movement, the being the other, from back in 2001, 2002. The government gave the being the other a piece of land for them to have not just partake in their cannabis sacraments, but for them to plant and then for them to have their religious celebrations. The government did that from the start. You don't need a law. Other can pursue their sacramental law. That's fine. Every country is allowed to do what they think is best for the country. But our approach, we have taken the approach where there's tolerance and there's respect for the Rastafari movement from the highest degree. That respect. Um, and as I said, a construction worker, somebody uses before work or during work. We see that as that person having some sort of therapeutic benefit that is helping them to cope, to be productive on the job. But what we have done is to not say you are a recreational user, but to push the education, to have the doctors speaking and to push the education so that persons could know within a medicinal cannabis industry. You come and you visit a doctor or you sign up online. You state your conditions. There is some sort of a framework in place so that you're not just consuming cannabis and you don't know the potency of the cannabis. What's the level of THC? What's the level of CBD? What's the level of the composition of the cannabis that will give you optimal benefits for what respective therapeutic benefits you want, what respective qualifying condition you are trying to treat. So we are creating an industry that has, something that is uniform, something that you could go and say, whenever I have, it may not be smoking the cannabis, it may be a tincture that may help you better. You know, it may be a capsule, it may be a vape. We are creating an industry that has standardization to speak, you know, so that those same persons, we want those same persons who have been using cannabis and we have grandfathered them into the system. They know how cannabis benefited them, and when they consult yesterday. So I say all of that to say again, we don't separate cannabis from as having spiritual, medicinal, and recreational use. We believe every single cannabis has medicinal benefit, but our industry is trying to create standardization so that and uniformity so that when you put something in your body, you know what you are putting in your body. And you know there is some sort of expectation, some sort of how that's going to your body. I hope I answered your question.
I know earlier you mentioned there's of 100 person that can give license, not license. How does that work? If one want to partake in the cannabis industry, if they want to get cannabis for oil for their medication, who have the authorization to issue these IDs, and what the cost of them? How does that work? Any one of you? Kevvian, your
Your
mic
mic is
again.
What? You hear me?
Yes.
Yes,
Go
we
ahead.
What obtains it because it's a cannabis industry and there's standards
Yes.
and procedures, practices, you know, because you still have to up. Additional cultivators are linked to bigger companies. They have a very good relationship with the bigger companies. And so the bigger companies will help them with their production practices. And what we have had is the traditional cultivators taking the cannabis, after it's harvested, a sophisticated facility, a sophisticated processing facility, where and it's put on
you're
the
breaking up.
market.
You're breaking
And
up
so
a bit, Terral.
it
You're
could
breaking up.
take many factors. Hear me?
Okay, now,
Go
yes,
ahead.
You
we
hear
hear
me
you.
now? Yes. So
Yes.
I was saying that the traditional cultivators are linked to the bigger companies who have manufacturing processing facilities. So they will take the cannabis green, wet weight, and it goes to that processing facility, that sophisticated processing facility that has met standards. It's dried under AC and dehumidifier conditions. It's packaged and it's goes into the varying farms. It could be the raw cannabis, it could be puruled, it could be extracted into oil, and that oil could be stored for a very long time, and it could be, you know, refined into vape, tinctures, capsules. So our industry has tried to essentially integrate everybody else because setup in requires significant capital outlay. You are to go about a cannabis industry. A processing facility may cost over $10 million. Is not, you know, is not a Marby shop, so to speak. It requires significant investment, and that processing facility, the companies that have built those out have done so with their private investment and in consultation with entities out of Europe. And you want to meet international standards so that when export markets open, that your products could be shipped to export markets. So those facilities are there with the academics, and that's why the cannabis industry is so exciting because it brings together traditional cultivators, the person who study chemistry, the person. I mean, it brings together so many stakeholders just to create an industry. And so to answer your question again, the products from the traditional cultivators goes to the investor companies. It's dried in optimal conditions. It's either extracted or put on the market for raw product. Smoker blows are extracted. It could take time, and then it refine as demand grows, and demand is growing in our industry right now. It started out very as demand, and we get it more and more products get into the industry. But as the Prime Minister normally says, it's not a pot of gold. There's not gold at the end of the cannabis rainbow. Countries may have the misconception that you, and I too had it. You set up an authority today, you issue licenses tomorrow, and months I have, and then 2 months after, everybody becomes a millionaire. It's not that. I wanted to make that stark. Hey, it's 5 years, 5 years of building out your cultivation facility, researching what strain work best, are best suited, are best appropriate for your climatic conditions, because not all strains are suited. For you have to build out your nursery, your mother plants, you have to have clones, and about for the bigger investors over 12, $15 million investment, the bigger investors. But we're working with the traditional cultivators and they have the linkages with the investors. So cannabis industry will not come overnight. And as you're rolling out your industry, the labor turnover is high because not everybody will stay, because the first 2-3 years is very stressful. Getting the industry, there's a lot of trial and error. There is no blueprint at all to building a cannabis industry. That's why I have gray hairs now. Before I came to MC, I had no gray hair. So because there isn't something to read, to download and chat GPT, to tell you how to go about this thing. You just have to push and be confident in what you are doing. And as you push, you have to pull your team with you because you have to show them why you are going in this direction. So it's hard. It's extremely hard. And what we want as we roll out this industry, we have been helping. But we want this to be competition and a race to the bottom. That's what competition fuels. We want, as we are trying to cooperate and build cannabis and build relationship with our neighboring islands, that is cooperation. We want to cooperate. We want to build a modern Caribbean cannabis industry, and that could only be done with cooperation, not competition. I mean, if you may come to Siemens and you may see certain things, and if you think that if your only goal is to see what Siemens has, to perfectly replicate it in Synkits, you might put up a head and bust your head. Because Siemens and Synkits are two different things, two different places. Yes. Synkits is impressive when it comes to tourism. But when it comes to agriculture, Siemens is the cornerstone for agriculture. We have a labor force in terms of agriculture. We have an impressive labor force because agriculture has been our thing. We're very, very, very new to tourism. We have over 50 years of cannabis production, though illegal. That counts for something, and that's why the government and the MC and the board of directors of the MC is so intent and so determined to make sure that those people who created that industry for us are included. We have an adequate supply of water, really nice clean water. We have rich volcanic soil. We have the sunlight. We have the political will. We have the support from all the state agencies. as I tell you, we have a robust board of directors who push me and push me and push me to make sure deliver. They never, but sometimes you want to respond, but at the end of the day, you see where
Yes,
they are
son.
coming from. So
Mr.
without
Mr.
those framework in
Terral,
place,
Terral making me feel bad right now, to send me the Nevis, cause how we minister not say nothing and the kind of vibes. It just give me a bad feeling. You see, carry me sharp with St.
sorry?
Vincent meditation. As so you're showing off with St. Vincent and the way we are moving forward, you give me a bad feeling here to be a Nevision right now, how we move towards this thing and the Nevis. You give me a bad feeling.
No, no, no. It's
You're
not
showing
for
off,
you
man. You're
to.
showing off.
It's not for you to feel bad. It's just to
I know
show you
that.
that we are sitting, and it has been hard. It has been difficult. Believe you me, it has been
Yes.
difficult. But what I am saying, as we help each other, let us not help each other for competition, because competition leads to a race to the bottom. Let us help
Yes,
each
I.
other to build a Caribbean cannabis industry that every single one of the countries can be proud of. You know, we talk a good talk at the CARICOM level, and I want to be frank, we talk a good talk at the CARICOM level and those integration level. A lot of big meetings, but at the end of the day, implementation is very slow, because at the end of the day, there are those who talk good in meetings, but competition is some part of their mind. For us to build a Caribbean cannabis industry, we have to do it in full cooperation. I just wanted to state that.
Beautiful.
I think that's a very
Candy.
critical point. Well, and I was saying, I think that's a very critical point that we really move forward. And I think, Terrell, what Bankie was alluding to, I think you might not quite understand it to that extent. But here on Nevis, even though we have a federation, St. Kitts and Nevis, it's a twin island country, and so in terms of the cannabis industry now, St. Kitts has moved way ahead in terms of doing a lot of things. But on the Nevis end, now, on the island of Nevis, we haven't even heard a statement from the Minister of Agriculture, who is responsible for cannabis and Nevis. So that's what he was pointing out when he was saying that you're making him feel bad. When you're saying all these nice things and how the government is
Yes.
cooperating with you and all that. That's what he was trying to allude to. So he's not saying that you're not trying to make it seem as if you are competing or anything or trying to show off in reality.
Yeah, man.
He was just saying that based on
Love
what
it.
you're saying, it's making us feel so bad because we're divisions and we are hoping that our industry could move forward. And we are in a position where our Minister of Agriculture, who is the minister responsible for cannabis, has not even come to the people with a conversation. Not even a conversation. And that's where we are. And we have been pushing and pressing. So here is it that you guys have moved so far ahead and, have gotten the industry to this level and have seen the potential, see the potential of the industry, and also not just seeing the potential moving forward, but also ensuring that you don't leave out the traditional growers, those who would have been suffering, those who would have gotten locked up and imprisoned and, beat up and have to be run out of the mountain and all of that and so on. You're seeking to make sure that they are brought forward, that they are given a fair advantage and a fair opportunity. And so we're just saying that, we're really loving what we're hearing, and we're hoping that
Yes. Yeah,
our
man.
minister is listening and things like this would help to move us forward. Because as you say, just a moment ago, in terms of one of the problems that you have, I share the same sentiment as well. Because a lot of these politicians, not even just on the CARICOM level, even on the local level, they have a lot of fancy talk, especially even where agriculture is concerned. So not even just zooming in on the cannabis side, but even in agriculture. When it's World Food Day or when it's Arbor Day or something like that, they have all sort of fancy speeches. They talk about 25 by 25 agenda and all these nice things when it is convenient or when it is necessary. And they have a nice and lovely speech. But then, do you see the reflection in the budget? Do you see the reflection in the things that they can do to really empower the farmers and so forth? Well, I mean, I can't speak for St. Vincent. I can speak for St. Kitts and Nevis. Those are some of the areas that we're lacking. So I know in relation to cannabis, they would have had a lot of, and when they have these CARICOM meetings and so on, they have these agenda. But one of the issues I have with CARICOM is that I keep saying, and Bankie, we would say this on the program. For me, CARICOM is an institution that really it's like a dog without teeth, because they all meet and they have all of these fancy speeches and so on. And at the end of the day, when CARICOM makes a recommendation, it is not something that is in concrete that, well, okay, like for example, when they did the 4 years commission on cannabis, and then they came back and made the recommendations in relation to cannabis and what all the member states should do. It was not something set in stone that said, okay, this is something that you guys have to do, and it has to be implemented in 6 months. It is a recommendation that the leaders can, if they want to implement it, and whenever, if ever, they choose to implement it. So does that really give you any, validation? So that's why I keep saying it's like a dog without teeth, because there's nothing that holds the countries who are part of these meetings and who actually sign on to sometimes some of these recommendations to implement them and implement them at a specific time. So I do share the sentiment in terms of they do have a lot of fancy speeches when it's necessary, but then when it comes to the action and taking action, so I'm really loving the fact that you guys are taking action and that you guys have elected officials who have the political will to see this through. And I am hoping that this conversation and this discussion could be shared all over, and that all of our officials who are in these positions, and even those who are on the Medical Cannabis Board here in St. Kitts and Nevis, and the Minister of Agriculture for Nevis can hear this and really see to now take some of the actions and use the model that you guys are proposing here, are presenting here, to help to really catalyst what's going on in St. Kitts and Nevis specifically.
Guys, I know we've been having a lot of fun this evening, and time will fly so fast, and I want to give you guys an opportunity again for those who are just tuning in, give them an overview of what's going on in St. Vincent on October 2nd to the 5th when it comes to your second annual Cannabliss event and stuff like that. Candy, Kevvian, I think your phone, yeah, beautiful. Any one of you to tell them what's going on in St. Vincent on the 2nd?
I'll begin first.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to say to Bankie, when I responded and I said, I really meant it. Don't feel bad where St. Kitts is right now. There's no reason to feel bad, because there is St. Vincent didn't get it all right. We didn't get everything right. We had mistakes too. What I am really, and don't feel bad. Be circumspect in how you push this thing with your ministers, because they may have been throughout the last 5 years overwhelmed with other issues. But to do this, we do this cooperation. We have a Minister of Agriculture here who is very versed on medicinal cannabis. He led the way in the policy framework. We could cooperate with you to our Minister of Agriculture. It has to start there. Your Prime Minister came to St. Vincent, I think it was last year or year before, to visit medicinal cannabis facilities. He brought a delegation, and he's actually married to a Vincentian, I'm not sure if you guys know that. And we had around the CEO. He's a medical doctor.
Yes.
He has gone to Barbados and St. Lucia and presented to the doctors about how cannabis, the medicinal benefits of cannabis, how does it work on a medical standpoint. That's his science. So there's need for different persons to come and educate different stakeholders in your industry to get this thing moving. I am an economist by training. So your business people, your traditional cultivators, we could come and give a presentation, and they could come to Cannabliss and learn. That is how you really get to an it can't happen overnight. It has to happen through cooperation, and we have to work together. That is what I meant. So even though you may feel that your minister is not moving fast enough, you have to be circumspect, you have to be diplomatic, and you just have to work with them. Simmons has gone this way. Let us work with Simmons. Let us work with Antigua. Let us work with Jamaica because we learned a lot from Jamaica. The Jamaican persons from Jamaica came down to Simmons and gave us a lot of support, and we appreciate them for all the support that they gave us because they were the first move. So we have to do this thing together.
Beautiful.
Let us not get, I know we did some leaders, but let us intention and we will get it done in building a sustainable, modern cannabis industry. I wanted to use my wrap up time to say those few words.
Thank you. Candy, Kevvian?
You're muted.
Yeah. Information you want to give out before you wrap up?
Well, I would like to just go on the conclusion of what Terral says, why it matters to us so much that we're putting on such a grand event. As you know, he's been stressing on how it would build St. Vincent's global brand as a medicinal cannabis hub. We've spoken about health, wellness, and safe cannabis use, stressing the word safe, safe and correct ways. We want to make sure that the public is aware of that. And how it has created economic opportunities for many persons, and how it has boosted tourism and cultural visibility. And for one, we want to leave a lasting legacy through many ways, but especially education, content, and
We are going to get in a feedback. Getting a feedback in the line. Yeah, beautiful. I tell the boy I got 3-4, you know. It's a smart youth that, you know. Doing
So
multitasking right now, you know.
Going back to the events, remember we have our media launch, opening ceremony on the 2nd. We have our tour on the 4th of August, and Roots and Reggae concert with the Catamaran crew, in October.
And I must say the prices are very reasonable. Definitely, I mean, it's almost like giving away those prices compared to here. So definitely, very, very good job. Well done and putting all that stuff together. Kevvian?
So I'd like to just finish by saying and reinstating what Candy has just said. Cannabliss SVG Festival 2025 brings to you inclusion in a diverse audience, inclusion in the culture surrounding our traditional cultivators, inclusion in the experience of St. Vincent and the Grenadines as a whole, you know. It's simply one Vinci, never two. But on a serious note, it's Cannabis SVG fuses the educational aspect, the awareness around medicinal cannabis, the policy side of medicinal cannabis as it relates to the discussions that would be held into one grand event with multiple components over a 4-day course. And as Candy alluded, we would be starting on October the 2nd with our grand opening. We would be also doing our expos and traditional cultivators village. I'm sure you will find ITAL in the village. As we know, ITAL is vital. And we'll also be doing conferences in the evening of that day. The 3rd day, October the 3rd, we'll continue with the expo and traditional cultivators village. We'll also have a full day of conferences and the 4th day of October, we move into the tours. Tours to the medicinal cannabis farms and facilities. And then in the night, we go swiftly into the vibes. The rich culture, the music, the reggae music. And then we calm it down with a tranquil cruise along the
Beautiful.
along the beaches of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, enjoying the experience, the gem of the Antilles. And just to provide in terms of fees during the state, the conferences, we have them stated at 55 AC dollars, the tours, 110 AC dollars, the reggae concert, we are looking to start our auditors at 60. If you're wondering who the artist is, stay tuned to our socials. Cannabliss underscore SVG on Instagram, Cannabliss
Yes,
SVG on Facebook for more information. And
yes.
as it relates to the catamaran cruise, this would be $270 AC, where it would be an inclusive event, food and vibes. And quite naturally, as ITIL is vital, ITIL is in the mix. Thank you.
Beautiful.
And just to stress,
Gentlemen,
guys,
yes,
before
go
you
ahead.
go,
Mm-hmm.
before you stress, you guys are not going to be disappointed in the main act. That's all I'm gonna say. $60, $80 does not cover what is about to hit St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Wow.
And that's
It's a lot of not laying out all the secrets, so definitely calling out everyone to come down to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I just want to say thank you guys again for choosing Real Entertainment and the Everything Agriculture Show, for coming on this platform and giving the information. I didn't know what to expect when it come to speaking with you guys and how the cannabis industry have been set up in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And I must say, I'm very impressed and gotta give you guys for the job you have been doing a very great job and making sure those who have been looked down on when it comes to the cannabis industry and at the same time when it was illegal and so forth, now is put at the pedestal where they're supposed to and have been treated fairly within your community. So, I mean, I'm still lost for words. In my brain is processing and comparing in a sense like that, and it's just no comparison. And it's just that model that I've loved where, I mean, basically the non-traditional farmers basically getting everything for free. Basically, that's what it is. $100 is nothing. You see what I mean? That it's inclusive with everything else. So I just want to thank you guys again for coming on. And this medium is always here if you all want to come back and share any additional information leading up to your activities. And hopefully I'll be definitely make the trip yesterday and myself and partake and get to see how St. Vincent is and enjoy the beauty of your culture and so forth, and come back and get pictures and so forth and videos and share with our listening and viewing audience. Yahsonn?
Awesome.
Yeah, well, I must confess, unlike Bankie, who said that he has never been to St. Vincent, I would have been to St. Vincent before, and so I would have experienced a bit of St. Lucia life, and tasted a bit of some St. Lucia while I was there in the process as well too, and see people being having to hide with the capture the guana when it's not in season and so on and things like that, you know. So I would have had my experience. Now, before I wrap up, I'm just going to go to a couple of the comments that are on the platform. Woodland Hill said, greetings, friends. Gwendolyn Rogers said, good night. Aaron after Harley says, greetings. And hi, Terral Mapp. Been a while. Good to see you. We had Iona Do saying, good night, all. And I'm seeing a final comment here. Says, greetings from China. And it's coming from an associate of mine who at present we are discussing and negotiating the possibilities, and I'm hopeful that as I'm speaking to you guys now, marketing here, that you guys may be interested in this. We are rolling out some tiny homes that are built from hemp, tiny homes that are built from hemp, which is a strain of cannabis. So I'm wondering if that village that you guys are talking about building, if it might be a possibility of you guys, wanting to introduce that construction technology as a part of promoting cannabis from a perspective where I point phrase, think about the state. So it's not about what you're seeing cannabis in a whole different perspective. So that's something that we're looking to introduce to the Caribbean in terms of tiny homes, off-grid tiny homes that are made from hemp or hemp seeds. So some food for thought as you guys wrap up. I want to thank you guys again, like Bankie said too, for choosing our platform to come and do this promotion in terms of Cannabliss, and to share a bit of what's happening with your medical cannabis authority and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I think the information shared, were very useful and vital, and I'm hopeful that our folks can take the call from Terral in terms of let us seek to have that unified Caribbean approach and just work with what we have. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. Some models we might have to tweak, and alter, here and there certain things depending on the territories and so on. But let's see how well we can collaborate and work together and roll out a very effective cannabis industry that benefits the locals just as much and maybe even more than the foreign investors who are going to come in and play a role. So we're not going to minimize the fact that they're going to come in, but we want to ensure, like you guys are seeking to do, to ensure that the traditional growers, the Rastafari people who would have been persecuted for all these years, and the other locals who would want to be a part of the cannabis industry to benefit in tremendous ways. So truly grateful to have met you guys virtually and looking forward to being able to meet you guys in the flesh. Let's speak it into manifestation here that we would be on that trip to St. Vincent in October. So we all will work on that. So Terral, Candy and Kevvian, we're going to be working closely with you guys. And like Bankie would have mentioned as well, the platform is open for you guys to return. If you guys want to, give an update or later on come back to promote a little bit more about the festival closer to the date, we're going to open the platform for you guys to be able to share that and open up these other opportunities, because see, we were talking about some of the other aspects from the medicinal side, and here is it that we're able to introduce hemp engineering to the whole aspect of things, bringing another scope of where we can go with this cannabis industry as we seek to take away the smoking aspect, people just thinking about cannabis from a smoking perspective. So thank you guys very much, and a great bit of information. And as I said, we look forward to having you guys on at another time. I'm really looking forward to that.
And you won't want to miss it. It's everything agriculture. Hey, this man Easy inviting you to tune in. It's all about everything agriculture with the man Bankie and Company alongside Yahsonn Tafari. It's your weekly educational show. And tune in. It's inspirational, educational, and you won't want to miss it. It's everything agriculture.